Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode from Donaram. We're playing Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. We're in episode 5, going into day 4, and what we believe is the concluding portion of the
It did say
game.
the final day.
Yeah, it does say the final day, but surely that doesn't mean there's going to be investigation again, and then another part of the trial, or a recess, and then another
I think
part of
we
the
can
trial.
take down the chief of police pretty easily. Well, chief of police
Mr.
detectives.
Gant, we're coming for you.
Yeah. Is that a cigarette?
This is the
Tray?
defendant lobby,
Oh.
all right, but there's no defendant.
Oh, yeah. She's been troublesome.
I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be?
In jail. How
Yeah.
can she be anywhere other than where she's supposed to be?
Yeah, we did kind of throw Emma under the bus.
Uh-oh, something's been happening behind the scenes. Oh, it's Edgeworth. Edgeworth.
Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 77's ID number is,
Yep.
that is.
Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who figured it out.
You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain.
Why so?
After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything.
True, not yet.
In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, 5 minutes, right? And Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty.
But she didn't do it.
I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say.
This is the first time he's ever done anything
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her.
The truth?
Everything goes back to the SL9 incident.
Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past.
That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened.
I'll think about it. See you in court, right?
This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now.
Oh, exactly at 10 a.m. Court's now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth an opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant?
I accept his proposal of marriage. Marriage.
Marriage.
Ah!
Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Uji, been back to the pool yet?
No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that.
If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours?
Lana. That is to say, the defendant has asked me if she could speak directly to the court.
We've been trying to get her to do that.
She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble.
What's this all about, defendant?
I'd just like to make one simple request, and it'll be finished. Well then, what's your request, Your Honor? I'd like to put an immediate end to this trial.
Huh?
I confess to all charges against me. On February 21 of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office.
We're going to have to convict our own client of perjury.
Yep. Oh,
You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea.
in that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services.
But Lana,
Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Okay, you can do that, sure. Her request is legally valid, though this is weird. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial as the defendant, under no pressure whatsoever.
we
Mr.
thank you for watching this episode of Daughter.
Even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise,
This can't be happening.
it appears the time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant. Oh,
One moment, Your Honor.
Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut?
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me to be.
Ellipsis.
With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
To whom?
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony.
And prove she's still alive. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to contend.
I don't care what you think, Miss Skye.
Huh?
The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it.
Very well. Court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Oh, Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand.
Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins.
I love it when Edgeworth acts as the prosecution, or
Yeah,
as the
defense.
defendant. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
She's a high school student.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
Well, stop.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Edgeworth, please remember, this trial concerns the murder of Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly is.
Okay. Okay then.
He sure gave in fast.
Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago.
The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this
Why
trial.
are we still here?
Because the judge denied her request to self-represent
Oh, okay.
or something.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife hand and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
He was stabbed in the back. It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor.
You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination, I guess. I don't know.
What's your point, Edgeworth? All right. Defense, start.
Former defense.
I'll just press it all.
Liar! You're a liar!
2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct?
Yes, she was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Okay. I guess, yeah, that's what I remember. Gant and Skye made quite a pair.
I believe they shared the same office.
That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished for work.
A man.
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room.
Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
What was the prosecutor doing there?
That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Almost forgot about Gant.
Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought it was as good as dead.
And that's when the prosecutor Marshall came running in.
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but
Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, and then the lights went out.
The lights.
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out.
So, wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything.
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective.
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman.
Goodman.
The victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago.
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw?
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
Which we have.
A picture. Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
And it's in our... Ask about the picture, yeah.
This picture the witness drew. I believe it's a very important meeting.
But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Well, we have a little bit more evidence. Would you mind if you added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
Maybe we present...
You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
She apparently drew it on the back side of the
Yes, I wanted
evidence
to do
list.
everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now whenever I close my eyes.
That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died. Yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken.
But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me.
We have that.
I guess I should check the evidence again.
Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted an image on your mind, can you please describe it to us?
The man.
Okay, we do have...
I want to present
go ahead and
here.
Yeah,
present
go
that.
ahead and present. It's on the back side of the evidence list. It's the ID record. All right. So evidence list would be
Here we go.
there.
Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture.
I'm 16.
And yet, you would insist on denying its existence.
Oh.
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for the case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold.
That's the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Mm-hmm. Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Oh. This is just like... Oh! What's this?
It's my mother.
I can't believe it.
Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling with chalk.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Why didn't you? Huh. These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. I'm glad the judge is doing this for us because I don't
Yeah.
know if we'd have to explain how we got it.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What?
Order. Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute.
Hold up.
If this list was torn in half, then that means, Your Honor,
You all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging out.
if the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
That no one has ever seen. Well, it's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Something good, something wrong?
Do you even have to ask?
Sorry.
Sorry, Your Honor. There's indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing.
What?
The
The
mascot?
blue badger?
The blue bat? That's impossible. That thing. It was dancing in the evidence room, but that was...
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives.
I guess he was out of scrap paper.
It's not true.
Wait, did he use that as inspiration to create the blue badger?
That's impossible. Very well. Witness. Please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago.
Huh? Oh, yes, Your Honor.
What's
Blue
wrong with Emma?
Badger.
She seems to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
It all comes back to this. Somehow.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. It clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Pressing the
Again.
statements.
Was it really?
Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye.
2 or 3 days later. The memory should have still been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. Can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? Because you only saw shadows. Yeah.
So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue.
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor.
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt.
What happened after the lightning flash?
Did you really faint? I mean, really? The timing's just not correct. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further?
What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Anyway, this picture...
Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact picture.
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives.
Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright?
No, of course not. I better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this here picture?
Well, that's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction
She
here.
did say that Marshall jumped on him.
Can I present the autopsy report?
I know that
What
we
does
have.
the autopsy report say?
It would probably be for Goodman, not for.
I think we
SL9.
do have one for that.
Neil?
But we do have SL9 files, so it'd probably be in there.
How about that one? Yeah,
Stabbed in the back.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
not.
she's stabbing him in the front.
Yeah. And the knife tip was in the wound.
I don't know if that was the right statement, but
Also, why would Dark have his knife if he was in police custody? Did he escape and also get his knife back?
That's a good question.
I'm going to present it on like the last statement
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
seems
a
like the
good
good
one.
one.
here. Excuse me. All right. Hands are down.
All
I
right, we
hate
got
to
it,
be
we
the
got
bearer
it.
of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be bester if you simply told us what you're thinking here. What's going on? Do we point, like, the chest?
Do we?
Because
Sure.
It's not pointy.
oh, yeah,
The
it's not there.
contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see the tip. Its tip is broken.
Mm-mm. Even if I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
He was-
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
It was broken after the stabbing. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken in the victim's body
That
in
was
the
shoved
back.
in there later.
I mean, it's probable that that would be the
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
multiple blows and the lightning flash that she was seeing
Yeah, it was-
stabbing.
But the autopsy just said one.
Just once. Yeah.
Oh,
That
did
autopsy
okay. I
report
missed
said
that
once.
detail.
In the back.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered
Yeah.
a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh, Bobby.
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
But why would he insert? tip?
Sorry, but I'm
into the back.
afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
Huh. That's right. What does that mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken.
Maybe.
That's
Maybe
why
not.
I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at that time, but she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another
A
explanation.
cockamamie explanation.
Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified
Yeah.
evidence?
Let's get through the looking glass.
You're treading on thin ice, right?
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No. Ah!
Oh my God. Order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder.
Oh, by all means.
The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in the story there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
Like on that shield. What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe
Well,
Dark's.
The trophy.
Could there have been
There's
one?
another
There's
one.
another one.
There's another one. We have it in evidence. Kind of. Technically.
If the witness
Maybe.
is adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume that you have some information about this other broken knife. Okay, so we show him the picture of the trophy, or the trophy without the knife, or...
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at
wait,
this. Here's the real murder
Okay.
weapon.
So the picture where they're standing.
the picture or the actual, the new one.
I think you should throw.
I think the picture
I think
would
the
probably,
picture because
yeah.
it shows the knife in it.
It's front and center even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This
This picture of the award ceremony.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Is there a ghost? I'm scared of ghosts.
It's the broken murder weapon.
Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding.
Mm-hmm.
That's a broken knife.
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order.
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation.
But that can't be.
Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth?
Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed.
What do you mean?
I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Mother of God.
Oh.
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
And that's true. What's going on here?
It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Well, we don't know for certain.
Wait, I remember now. I remember everything.
Oh, that's handy.
Mr. Edgeworth.
What is it?
Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
The list. The one with the picture on the back. Or the other one with the picture. Oh. What was that?
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
Okay.
What?
You drew that?
She's responsible for the blue
That's
badger.
right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture.
Now she saw the blue badger on Gant, because he's the one who invented it, right?
But he didn't invent it until recently, I think.
All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
What could it be other than that? Huh? Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor.
First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger?
Okay, I'm glad we're just saying it.
This should be interesting.
The recollection.
When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them.
Okay.
I think I knocked away the man with a knife.
Oh.
Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
Oh. She shoved Neil.
His look.
This is certainly the most unusual.
Try impossible.
Impossible.
The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until
okay,
this year.
that's what I thought. But it was obviously inspired by something.
That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination into the case of the Blue Badger. Stop. Please. Don't pursue this any further.
Lana,
What's the meaning of this? You have no... This doesn't concern you, Lana. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence in my court. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please get this defendant out of here. I don't care where you put her. Just keep her away. This case is not about her anymore. It's about the Blue Badger. Okay, so...
when you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark.
No, she's referring to Neil.
Yes, at least I think it was him.
That was
You
Neil.
think?
All I could really see were shadows.
Yeah.
The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports.
So then you...
Why would you do something so dangerous?
What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall.
She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife.
But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife.
Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was I've got to help that other person.
Knocked away the man with the knife. And that would match with the handprint of hers
Well, let's press her and see what she says.
on the cloth or the leather. Whatever.
What do you mean you think?
It all happened so fast and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Miss Skye was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
Mm-mm-mm.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So what happened next? Flash of lightning. She saw a blue badger, which was... Okay, she
We
saw
gotta know
something.
what that's all about. We gotta press her on that for sure.
Are you sure about this?
Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him here.
It's the jar.
It does kind of look like the jar.
Oh.
Oh, it's just exaggerated.
It's gotta be.
All right, let's keep going then.
It's gotta
Yeah,
It was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast.
be.
it's that
Tickles.
exaggerated.
And that was
okay.
just this year.
Oh, it tickles.
The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I
Yeah.
saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I remember.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought the thing had caused enough commotion. I want to present it.
Yeah, just present the jar or the vase or the.
Are we on the
amphora.
right thing?
We'll find out. That's 2 hands down. This mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's
What exactly is that?
I believe this is some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed it doesn't.
Is it upside down?
As it stands, it's just a plain jar.
But she saw the shadow.
However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint.
Tilted towards us. No, you got to show all 3 handles, right?
Yeah.
So, like, lean it forward towards us.
I don't know if it does that.
Does it not do that?
Oh, there it goes.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Like that.
Maybe it was.
Kinda, I guess.
I mean,
Flip it. Rotate it.
I'm thinking maybe that.
It's pointed the
I'm
wrong way.
thinking, I
Can-
think just straight upside down.
Yeah, can we look at it from bottom up? Or up bottom?
I think just like that.
Kinda.
Yeah, kinda. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like a badger.
No. Allow me to remind the defense its case hinges on the witness's drawing.
Okay, just give us a minute to dick around with this
Think about
jar.
this. If
I've got to find just the right angle.
Yeah.
vertically a bit more or horizontally?
Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it.
Yeah, like
Maybe we need. No, there's
up a little.
maybe
Right there.
I feel like this is exactly the same as it was before, but it
Yes,
worked.
yes. Oh my God.
And here we are in a glorious
Well,
void.
Is this a miracle or what?
No, we're in purgatory. And that's hell. Oh.
No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger.
Well, I'm glad we sorted that out.
No. It can't be.
Why are we so resistant to this? Which is just an explanation. The defense has proven its completely mysterious claim.
The blue badger witnessed.
The blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Although we all enjoy Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point?
That's a good question.
What do you mean?
So that badger thing was actually just a jar.
Well, there's blood on it.
That doesn't change anything.
There's blood on it.
Mm-mm-mm.
And
I'm
it was
afraid
hidden.
that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth.
And it was hidden from us.
And Dark had a concussion, right?
Did?
You see, this changes everything.
Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know this witness saw this jar?
Um,
The murder
Okay.
weapon?
I think the murder weapon.
yeah, it's true because we established that it's not jar.
Allow me to
Dark's
take these in
knife.
turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar.
It was upended.
At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright.
Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime.
Yeah.
It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant.
But the body was found lying near Lana Skye's desk.
Mm-hmm.
The witness testified so herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Skye's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office.
Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Skye's office?
Seems
Yes.
that way.
Why would he do that? There's no reason.
Mm-mm. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? Please be multiple choice.
I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instance, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have been the impact the man made when he knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to the picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
Well,
Oh.
It was the suit of armor.
Okay.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. There's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility.
Of course, the perpetrator would have no idea, but nonetheless. Ellipsis. I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall,
She hung him out to dry. Oh.
you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No!
Thud. Huh.
I never imagined her testimony would lead to this.
So it was the witness who took the victim's life. And then proved so with her own testimony. I would say that's unprecedented.
Oh,
but
she's gone.
It happened last week.
Wait, you're supposed to be taken away.
What are you saying?
I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances,
Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her?
Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it?
I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall?
evidence?
I'm willing to bet you don't. It certainly would be difficult to prove this.
If we don't have any evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony.
I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead.
We certainly can't get dead. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning.
Touche, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility.
Bang, you mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life.
It's on the jar.
Yeah,
It's the writing on the jar.
Yeah.
bloody jar.
In one manner or another.
It just didn't look like anything. That's impossible. Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you that will allow you to win the game. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? Yes?
I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the
Is in the evidence.
yeah, in the evidence.
It's on the jar.
This message from the deceased
We
is
didn't look
already
at
in
the
our
jar.
possession.
Upside down.
No.
Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister is a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
The jar.
Yep. Can we flip it?
It won't show us.
The dark red stains must be
I'm-
the only fragment found in Chief Gant's offices is still a
I think we just
there's
give
shit
it.
we need to look at here.
Kind of looks like an A.
I think we just give it to him.
This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from the the silhouette. A blue badger from is he just going to speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would.
Looks like everyone's forgotten. This is just the jar. The message was left here, on the surface of the jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
What if it's because it's broken? The pieces weren't all together.
Yeah, it looks like E-M.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yeah, it was you.
Yes, but notice,
It still says
for some reason, the
M.
blood on the fragments was not wiped away.
E.
Yes, there was a
there's
line here drawn in blood.
Very clear line.
So what you're saying is these dots were once lines.
We're gonna have to connect the dots.
Yeah. sounds like
Yay! That seems doable.
He used his few precious moments left in him to leave behind a message.
One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We need
Let's
to
do
connect
it.
the dots.
Let's do it.
And the victim's mentions. We gotta do it.
Come on. Let's do it. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer.
Emma!
I've got to connect these dots to make them look like letters.
Only one thing.
His murderer's name.
Yeah, there's an A and an M.
Yeah. Just, I mean, yeah. Yep. 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 The judge is going to be like, Mr. Wright, I don't see how this is
relevant.
relevant to the case. I guess they're just satisfied with that.
Okay.
E equals MB.
What do you think? I came up with this message. All me.
Yes. Yes. I feel like I'm teaching a handwriting to a student who is all thumbs.
Wait, did he say no?
What?
I think you should make him write out, I won't do it again
Oh.
100 times.
Never was such good at handwriting. I guess I'll have to check the court record. Oh, God.
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains reveal to us the answer. How did we not get it?
Did we?
Because Emma's not the one who did it.
FEMA.
What if we make this a G? Oh, no, won't let us do that.
What killed me?
Wait, why can we go?
It was Orion. It was Orion's belt. Did we just not complete the?
I didn't cross my A. That's
Ah,
what happened. That's what happened.
Well, we have all this blood to help us finish this.
Yeah.
Let me just cut myself.
Now I'm in a black pitch.
It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all, my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this.
Emma.
Emma.
So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life.
Was Emma Skye. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Gant.
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dock was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not?
Back.
Yes, Worthy. Because of you an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark was really a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important.
I mean, it's a little important.
Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, the fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to death. Order, order, order.
Order. Oh, dear.
The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess.
Kickball now.
Where the trial is headed, no one knows. And we are going into another part.
Wow.
Oh, all right. Join us
Okay.
next time on Donoram here for maybe the conclusion
Ladder.
to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Episode 5.
Trial ladder.
Thanks for watching.